Welcome to Learn English with Tech Leads with your hosts, Marcus and Sarah. Deconstructing world-class software architecture and engineering culture so you can master professional tech English. Let's dive in.
So, imagine you break your arm, right? An X-ray gives you this, jagged white line on a black background.
Right, it's super clear.
Exactly. It's completely binary. It's either broken or it's not. You really don't have to guess. But what happens when you get promoted to engineering manager? That metaphorical X-ray machine just breaks.
Yeah, it really does.
And suddenly you have absolutely no idea how to prove you actually did a good job today.
You really step into this new professional landscape where the diagnostic tools you relied on for your entire career, they just disappear. I mean, the feedback loop goes completely silent.
It's terrifying. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a very specific and honestly very dangerous psychological trap for newly promoted engineering leaders.
It's a trap so many people fall into.
Oh, for sure. So let's set the stage for who we're talking about today. You, our listener, are a senior engineer. You write amazing, elegant code. You understand the back-end architecture perfectly.
The expert.
Right. And because you are so good at your job, you get the promotion to tech lead. Congratulations. But almost immediately you feel entirely lost.
Yeah, the rules change overnight. Today we're exploring a really powerful essay called "The Day I Stopped Being the Best Programmer on the Team."
Such a great title.
It is. It was written by a veteran tech lead who learned a very hard lesson about leadership the wrong way.
And the mission for our conversation today is to really understand why you retreat to the comfort of writing code when you should be leading your team.
Right, and more importantly, how to fundamentally redefine your professional identity so you don't, destroy your project in the process.
Exactly. And since we know you, our listener, might be a Spanish-speaking senior developer or manager working to master your professional English, we are going to make sure we unpack the specific Silicon Valley jargon as we go.
We won't interrupt the flow too much, but we will make sure you master the leadership concepts and the professional language at the exact same time.
Perfect. So let's get into the story that kicks this whole essay off.
Right. So the author of our source text was handed a brutal assignment right after their promotion. It was a complex integration project for a private commerce engine, and it had to connect to an internal legacy payment gateway.
Oh, wow. Legacy payment gateways are the worst.
They really are. And there was zero documentation. Nobody in the company had ever done this before. It was just a complete blank slate.
Since the author was the most senior person on the team, they just assumed they had to take it on, right? They thought, I'm the tech lead, this is the hardest problem, therefore it belongs to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And 4 days later, they were completely stuck.
Ouch. 4 days.
4 whole days. Every time they patched one bug, like 2 more fatal errors spawned in the console.
Yeah.
They were just drowning in spaghetti code.
That's a nightmare.
But on that 4th day, sitting there frustrated,
Yeah.
the author had a really painful realization. This wasn't a technical failure at all.
Wait, it wasn't.
No, it was a leadership failure. For 4 entire days, they hadn't reviewed the team's progress. They hadn't given any strategic direction. They'd completely stopped being a tech lead.
Oh, I see. They fell down a massive rabbit hole. And let's actually take a quick vocabulary pause here for our listeners.
Good idea.
A rabbit hole is a great native English idiom. It basically means getting so profoundly lost in a narrow, complex problem that you lose track of time and completely ignore the bigger picture.
This happens to all of us.
Right. A simple real-world example would be, I started looking up how to fix a tiny CSS bug on a button, and 3 hours later, I was in a rabbit hole reading Wikipedia articles about the history of web browsers.
That is the perfect example.
Yeah.
And the author disappeared into that integration rabbit hole because code was their natural habitat.
It felt safe.
Exactly. It was incredibly difficult work, but it was familiar work. Leadership, on the other hand, generated massive uncertainty.
You know, I look at this scenario and it's so tempting to just call it arrogance.
Arrogance.
Yeah, it looks like the classic senior developer thinking, only I can write this properly, everyone else get out of my way.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But honestly, I think it's more like a pilot hiding in the engine room. Because they're terrified of actually flying the plane, they hide in the work they've already mastered because they want to avoid the work that truly matters.
That analogy captures the psychological mechanism perfectly. You hide in the engine room because you understand exactly how the engine works.
Right. You have the manual for the engine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you don't know how to navigate the plane through a storm yet. Your brain tricks you into retreating to the code because of how we fundamentally measure our own value as engineers.
Yeah, your brain starts screaming, this code is the most urgent thing right now. But translated, that really just means this code is the only thing I know how to do perfectly.
Exactly. Because coding provides instant, undeniable proof of your value. Leadership, well, it provides highly ambiguous results.
It really does.
When you manage people, you rarely know if you did a good job on any given Tuesday. You might not know for 6 months if a hiring decision was actually correct.
I struggle with this personally. When you spend years as a high-performing developer, your entire ego is tied to tangible proof.
Oh, absolutely.
The essay uses two brilliant terms for this feeling: a time-stamped victory and a diff.
Those are essential vocabulary words for anyone working in software.
Right, let's do another vocabulary pause to explain these two terms together because they represent the psychological reward system of programming.
Let's do it.
So a time-stamped victory is exactly what it sounds like. It's a success with a clear, exact time attached to it.
And diff is short for difference.
Right. If you use Git or any version control system, a diff shows the exact lines of code you added in green or deleted in red.
It's visual proof.
Exactly. A real-world example. When you fix a database query and commit the code at 2:00 p.m., that's a timestamp victory. You look at the diff and say, I literally created this value today.
You can point to it and say, here is the proof.
Right.
But leadership has no diff.
Zero.
There is no time-stamped victory for a tech lead. Think about it. You might have a 15-minute one-on-one conversation with a struggling junior developer.
Okay, sure.
And in that conversation, you help them understand the system architecture. That might end up being the most profitable strategic decision of the entire quarter for your company.
Wow, yeah.
But it leaves absolutely zero physical proof.
Mm-hmm.
There's no code commit, no lines added. Your GitHub contribution graph stays completely blank.
So you panic. The emotional weight of ending a week without a single diff feels like you didn't work at all. It feels like you're stealing your salary.
Yes, the guilt is real.
So you choose the known discomfort of wrestling with complex legacy code over the unknown discomfort of navigating a leadership role. You just desperately want that diff to feel productive.
And that craving for a time-stamped victory proves something dangerous. Your professional identity hasn't caught up with your new job title.
Oh, that's deep.
The text frames this as an identity lag. Your title changes on Monday when Human Resources updates the company directory, but your internal identity is still stuck on the previous Friday.
Because for your entire career up to that Friday, you received rewards, bonuses, and praise exclusively for your individual output.
Exactly.
You were promoted because you wrote great code, so your brain thinks writing more code is how you succeed in the new role.
The author actually brings in Camille Fournier's excellent book, The Manager's Path, to highlight this.
Oh, I love that book.
It's great. It highlights the terrifying moment you have to manage engineers who might actually be more technically senior than you are. Suddenly, your primary tool can no longer be simply knowing the most about the code base.
This is a perfect time for our next vocabulary pause. We need to talk about the term IC.
Good call.
It stands for individual contributor. If you're working in Silicon Valley or any modern tech hub, you hear this acronym constantly.
All the time.
An individual contributor is a professional who works on tasks and creates output, but doesn't manage any people.
Right. So a simple real-world example. As an IC, your annual performance review is based purely on the features you build. But as a manager, your review is based on what your team builds.
That's a huge shift.
It is. Moving from an IC to a tech lead isn't a learning problem. It's an unlearning problem.
Wait, say more about that. Unlearning.
Yeah, new managers think they just need to learn how to run a sprint planning meeting or, how to write better Jira tickets.
Right, the tactical stuff.
Exactly. Those tactical skills take a few hours to learn. The real obstacle is dismantling your old value system.
Wow, you have to literally stop measuring your worth by your personal output. You have to redefine your daily job as helping the team succeed, even if your daily contribution feels entirely invisible.
Exactly. Now, let's look at what happens while you're struggling with this internal identity crisis.
Okay.
While you're down in the engine room chasing a diff, trying to prove your worth, the rest of your team is paying a devastating cost.
So what actually happens on the deck of the ship while the pilot is hiding below?
Chaos and drift. In the author's story, while they were stuck for 4 days on bug number 14 in that payment gateway, the team was moving forward without any direction.
They were just guessing.
Pretty much. Junior engineers were making micro decisions about the architecture because no one was there to guide them. They were assuming product priorities and just drifting away from the core objective.
I want to challenge this a bit, though. Let's play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay, lay it on me.
If a tech lead decides to just be the team's best programmer and write all the hardest code, don't we at least gain a great programmer? Like, the hard work is still getting done, right?
That's the grand illusion of the coding tech lead. You don't just gain a great programmer, you actually subtract the only person who possesses the high-level view of the whole project.
Oh, I see.
You completely lose the coordination layer. In this specific story, the knowledge needed to fix that complex integration actually existed within the team.
Wait, really? Someone else knew how to do it?
Yes. One developer understood a similar legacy system from a previous job. Another developer knew the weird quirks of the payment gateway API.
The knowledge was distributed across the team.
But because the tech lead was buried in a rabbit hole, staring at error logs, they weren't facilitating the conversation to uncover that distributed knowledge. They weren't asking the right questions.
Wow. So you lose the coordination layer exactly when a complex project needs it the most.
Exactly.
The text mentions a really painful, recurring pattern in our industry. The brilliant tech lead who disappears into a massive code refactor, while the product manager forces the rest of the team to accept unrealistic deadlines and terrible design compromises.
It happens all the time.
The tech lead thinks the code is the only problem, while the actual project burns to the ground around them.
This raises the ultimate question of the essay. If the answer isn't write all the code, does the tech lead just never touch a keyboard again?
Yeah. Do you just surrender your IDE, stare at analytics dashboards all day, and shuffle tickets around? That sounds miserable for anyone who loves engineering.
It is miserable, and it's a dangerous overcorrection. The text cites Tanya Riley's book, The Staff Engineer's Path, to explain the balance.
What does she suggest?
You don't abandon your technical excellence. You redirect it. You stop using your deep technical skills to solve the problem directly, and you start using them to decide what the problem actually is and who is best equipped to solve it.
Okay, this brings up our final critical vocabulary pause. We need to explain the management phrase, unblocking a team member.
This is a crucial one.
Unblocking someone simply means removing an obstacle, answering a complex question, or securing resources so they can continue their work.
Exactly.
So, a simple real-world example. My junior developer was completely confused by a new database schema. I spent 10 minutes drawing it out on a whiteboard for him, unblocking him so he could finish building the future.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Now look at how the author finally fixed their integration nightmare.
Okay, how did they do it?
When they stepped back, took a breath, and stopped trying to force the code to work themselves, they redirected their technical excellence. They wrote a highly structured, half-page document outlining 3 specific hypotheses for why the bug was happening.
Tell me more about that document. What does that actually look like in practice?
It's pure technical leadership. Hypothesis 1, the legacy API is tining out because of our payload size. Hypothesis 2, the authentication token is expiring mid-request. Hypothesis 3, we have a race condition in the database right.
Oh, that is so clear.
Right. And the tech lead didn't test these themselves. They split the investigation into parallel tasks and assigned them to the team members with the most relevant context.
So they built a framework for the solution instead of writing the solution itself. What was the result of doing it that way?
The team fixed the 4-day problem in 1.5 days.
That's incredible.
The tech lead didn't write the final code. Someone else did, but they did it working safely inside a structure that the tech lead provided. That is what redirecting your excellence looks like. You apply your senior level knowledge, one level up, to the environment, the architecture, and the conditions under which your team operates.
I love the concept of building the framework, but how do we make this mindset stick permanently? Like, how do you actually rewire your brain when your ego is still screaming for a time-stamped victory every Friday afternoon?
The text introduces a final, really powerful reference from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits.
Oh, a classic.
Yeah. Identity doesn't transform through one massive heroic resolution on the day you get promoted. You don't just wake up as a great manager.
It transforms through 100 small votes. Every single time you write a decision document to unblock the team instead of writing the code yourself, you cast a vote for your new identity as a leader.
Exactly.
Every time you resist the urge to take a task away from a struggling junior developer and instead patiently coach them through the error logs, you cast a vote.
And none of these individual votes feel like a massive transformation in the moment. In fact, they usually feel deeply uncomfortable.
Because there's no diff.
Right. Because there is no diff, they feel like you aren't doing real work. But 6 months later, The compounding sum of those votes is a completely new professional identity. You literally have to build this new identity in direct opposition to your own instincts.
Because your instinct was trained for a decade as an IC to do the exact opposite, it's a profound, uncomfortable shift.
It really is. So let's pull all of this together for our listeners.
Great idea. Let's summarize the key takeaways.
First, don't retreat to the comfort of the code. We know it feels safe, and we know you crave the dopamine hit of the diff, but it's a trap that leaves your team completely rudderless.
Second, learn to fiercely value the invisible work of coordination. It doesn't have a diff, but building the framework for your team to succeed is the absolute most valuable thing you can do for your company. Redirect your technical skills towards system design and unblocking your people.
And the essay leaves us with a provocative challenge I really want everyone to think about.
Let's hear it.
Look closely at your work this past week. What did you disappear into? Did you choose a difficult technical task because it was genuinely yours to own? Or did you choose it to hide from the ambiguity of leadership?
Oh, that's a tough question.
It is. Remember, the real work of your first year as a tech lead is choosing necessary incompetence over known competence. Which one would you choose on Monday?
Wow. Think back to that X-ray machine we talked about at the very beginning. As an individual contributor, your work was that X-ray. Clear, visible, undeniable.
But as a leader, the X-ray is broken.
Right. The answers aren't drawn in bright white lines anymore. It's murky. It's incredibly uncomfortable. But you have to realize you don't need the X-ray anymore. Your job isn't to find the single broken bone. Your job is to make sure the whole team can run. Keep casting those small votes for your new identity.
Well said.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep practicing your professional English, keep leading your teams, and we'll see you next time.
That's a wrap. If this breakdown helped, hit subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss a lesson. Keep learning, and we'll see you next time.